My name is Evelyn Carter. I am 72 years old and 3 months ago, my own son put me in a nursing home, not because I was sick, not because I couldn't walk, not because I needed care, because I was in his way. I raised him alone. His father left when he was 6. No goodbye. No child support. Just gone. So it was me and my boy. I worked 2 jobs, cleaned offices at night, waitress in the mornings. I came home smelling like bleach and coffee. But I never missed a school play, never missed a parent meeting, never forgot a birthday. I bought our house myself. Small, old. But warm. Every wall held a memory. I paid off that mortgage with overtime hours and tired bones. I thought one day that house would be his, because that's what mothers do. My son, Daniel, grew up smart, college business degree. He married a woman named Stephanie. Pretty, cold eyes. She never liked me, but she smiled in photos. At first everything was normal. Sunday dinners, holidays. But slowly, they changed. Mom, you should think about downsizing. Mom, this house is too big for you. Mom, you're alone here. I knew where it was going. One afternoon Daniel showed up unannounced. Sat across from me. Same table where I fed him cereal before school. Mom, he said, we need to talk about your future. That word. Future. He slid a paper across the table. A brochure. Golden Pines Senior Living. It's beautiful, he said. Activities, nurses, safety. I laughed. I'm not dying. He avoided my eyes. You're getting older. So, are you? I wanted to say, I'm fine, I replied. I garden. I drive. I cook. Stephanie spoke up. We worry about you. Her voice sweet, eyes calculating. Worry about what? I asked. Falls, break-ins, loneliness. Loneliness. They always use that word. I'm not lonely. I said. I have neighbors, friends. Daniel sighed. You're being stubborn. That's when I knew. This wasn't concern. This was a plan. 2 weeks later, an ambulance came to my house. Not because I called, because they did. They told the paramedics I was confused, that I wandered, that I forgot things. Lies. I stood there in my nightgown. Daniel? I asked. He wouldn't look at me. Mom, it's for your safety. They took me anyway. I screamed. Begged. My neighbors watched. And just like that, my own son locked me away. Golden Pines smelled like medicine and sadness. Old people staring at walls. TV's too loud. Food with no taste. They took my phone. Said it was policy. I cried every night. Not because I was old, because I was betrayed. 2 weeks later, I overheard a nurse whisper, her son sold her house. My heart stopped. I grabbed her arm. What did you say? She looked scared. I'm sorry. I thought you knew. That's when I realized. They didn't just remove me. They replaced me. When the nurse whispered those words, your son sold your house, I honestly thought she made a mistake. It didn't make sense. You don't just sell someone's home. Not without them. Not without papers. Not without signatures. Not without a soul. I grabbed her arm, not hard, just enough to let her know I was still alive. What did you say? I whispered. She looked nervous, like she'd said something she wasn't supposed to. I'm sorry. I thought you already knew. Knew what? I asked. That my son betrayed me. Her eyes filled with pity. That kind of pity people reserve for the very old and the very broken. There was a moving truck last week. He came with papers from the lawyer. He said everything was handled. My ears started ringing. That loud, high-pitched sound you hear when your world cracks open. I never signed anything. I said. Never. She nodded slowly. That's what I thought. I went back to my room. If you can call it a room. Beige walls. A plastic chair. A bed that squeaked when you moved. I sat there for a long time just staring at my hands. The same hands that washed his clothes when he was little. The same hands that braided his hair before school. The same hands that held his when his father walked out. And now those hands had nothing. They took my phone when I arrived. For your safety, they said. But safety felt like prison. That night, I waited until the nurse changed shifts. Then I walked to the front desk and asked for the house phone. I need to call my son, I said. They hesitated. Then dialed. He answered on the third ring. Daniel, I whispered. Did you sell my house? Silence. Too long, Mom. He started. Did you sell it? I asked again. Yes, he said quietly. I couldn't breathe. You had no right, I said. That house is mine. You weren't living there anymore, he replied. You're safe now. Safe. In a building that smells like bleach and loneliness. You lied to the paramedics, I said. You told them I was confused. You forget things, he snapped. No, I don't, I said. You forget who raised you. He sighed. We needed the money. Double quotes. We. Meaning him and Stephanie. For what? I asked. Our business, he said. Debt. We were drowning. So he pushed his mother underwater instead. You sold my memories. I whispered. My life, it's just a house, he said. That's. When I hung up, I cried that night, quietly, like The old women do when they don't want anyone to hear them breaking. The next morning, I asked to speak to the administrator, a woman in her 40s with tired eyes and a clipboard. I told her everything. I was brought here under false pretenses, I said. My son lied, she nodded. We'll need documentation. I don't have anything, I replied. They took my phone. My keys, everything, she sighed. We'll look into it. That's what people say when they don't want to help. I spent 3 days like that, trapped, listening to men coughing in the hallway, watching women stare at walls like their thoughts had already left them on the 4th day. Something unexpected happened. A woman came to visit someone in the room next to mine. Her name was Margaret, 68, sharp eyes, strong walk. We started talking in the cafeteria. How long you been here? She asked, against my will. I replied. She smiled. Same, I told her everything. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she leaned closer. You still own your house. What? I asked. Unless you sign something, he can't sell it. Doesn't matter what he says. He had papers. I whispered. Anyone can print papers, she said. Doesn't make them legal. That sentence felt like oxygen. My niece is a paralegal, she continued. I'll have her check. That night she called her the next day. Her niece came. Young, smart, serious face. What's your full name? She asked me. I told her. She typed on her laptop. Your son filed a power of attorney, she said. Says you're mentally incompetent. My heart dropped. He lied, I said. I know, she replied. But he used an old doctor's note from 3 years ago. That was when I fainted. Woke up to nurses and oxygen. But my mind was clear. Can we fight it? I asked. She nodded. Absolutely. That was the first time I felt hope. She explained everything, slowly. Like you do with people you respect. He sold the house fast, she said. Below market value. That's suspicious. To who? I asked. His business partner, she replied. Stephanie's brother. It all made sense. They didn't just sell it. They transferred it, stole it. My own son used my name to save his marriage. Can I get out of here? I asked. Yes, she said. If we prove you're competent. I stood up. Test me. They did memory tests, questions, dates, names, math. I passed everything. The administrator looked embarrassed. 2 days later, they released me. No apology. Just paperwork. Margaret hugged me. Go get your life back. I took a taxi. The driver didn't talk. Thank God. When we arrived at my house, my heart stopped. Different curtains, different mailbox, different car in the driveway. Someone else was living there. I walked to the door. Knocked. A man opened. Can I help you? I live here, I said. He laughed. We just bought this place. I almost collapsed. My son sold it illegally, I whispered. He frowned. We went through a lawyer. Which one? I asked. He told me. Same lawyer Daniel used. My hands shook. I'm not leaving, I said. Call the police. He did. When the officer arrived, I showed him everything. My ID, my name, my address. This is my house, I said. The man panicked. My wife? He whispered. I sat on my porch for the first time in weeks. They told him he had to leave. Temporary order, court will decide. But for that moment, I was home. I went inside, smelled my walls, touched my furniture. But my things were gone. Everything replaced. I cried, not for the house, for the boy I lost. I sat on my own porch for a long time after the police asked that man to leave. He didn't argue much, just kept saying, we didn't know. We didn't know. And I believed him. They were victims too. Everyone was a victim of my son's lies. When he finally drove away, the house felt empty again. But this time, not the quiet emptiness of grief. This was different. This was violation. My couch was gone. My curtains replaced. My pictures removed. My mother's china cabinet, the one she gave me before she died, completely disappeared. I walked through every room slowly, touching walls, opening drawers, looking for something familiar, anything. But it felt like I was standing inside someone else's life. That's when I realized, even if I got my house back legally, it would never feel the same. He didn't just sell a building. He erased my past. I slept on the floor that night. No bed, no blankets, just my coat and a pillow I found in the hall closet. My bones hurt, but my anger kept me awake anyway. The next morning, I called Margaret's niece again. Her name was Claire. They moved everything out, I told her. She sighed. I expected that. So what now? I asked. Now we fight, she said. She explained the plan. Step by step. She was patient, never rushed me. She said Daniel had abused the power of attorney. He used an old medical report to claim I was mentally unfit. But we already proved I wasn't. That document is void, she said. Which means a sale is illegal. Then why are strangers living in my house? I asked. Because money moves faster than justice, she replied. That sentence stayed with me. Later that day, I drove to Daniel's place. I didn't call. I didn't warn him. I just showed up. Stephanie opened the door. Her eyes widened when she saw me. You shouldn't be here, she said. I'm still his mother. I replied calmly. She laughed. Not after what you're doing. I pushed past her. Daniel was sitting on the couch. He froze when he saw me. Mom. How did you? I got out, I said. Your little prison didn't work. Stephanie crossed her arms. You're ruining everything. I turned to her. You already ruined it when you married my son knowing he was stealing from me. She scoffed. He said you agreed. I pulled the court papers from my bag and dropped them on the table. Read. I said. Daniel's face turned white. You're really doing this? He whispered. You sold my house, I said. You lied to doctors. You locked me away. We were desperate. He shouted. You don't understand the pressure. Pressure. I laughed. I raised you with no money and no help. You don't know pressure. Stephanie stepped forward. Our business was failing. So you used me, I replied. Daniel slammed his fist on the table. You're selfish. That word. After everything, I gave you my life, I said quietly. And you call me selfish? He broke down. I'm drowning, he cried. Debt collectors, loans, investors, what business? I asked. He hesitated. Crypto, Stephanie said. I stared at them. You lost everything in crypto? I whispered. Daniel nodded. That's why you sold my house. I asked. It was either that or bankruptcy, he said. So you chose to destroy me, I replied. He had no answer. I left without another word outside. My hands shook so badly I couldn't start the car for 5 minutes. That night, I received an email from Claire. She had pulled records. Your house was sold for half its value, she wrote. To Stephanie's brother. So it was a setup, a fake sale. Family helping family. Not me. I forwarded everything to my lawyer. 2 days later, Daniel was served papers. He called screaming, You're going to put me in jail. You already put me in a nursing home. I replied calmly, I'm your son. And I was your mother. I said. We both went quiet. Court came faster than expected. Temporary hearing. Emergency motion. The judge listened carefully. My lawyer spoke about elder abuse, fraud, exploitation. Daniel's lawyer looked nervous. The judge ordered an immediate freeze on all assets. Stephanie burst into tears. Daniel stared at the floor. The house was legally mine again, at least for now. But the damage was done. That night, I sat alone in the living room and realized something. I wasn't just fighting for my house. I was fighting for my dignity. My identity. My voice. I wasn't an old woman to be pushed aside. I was still here. Still alive, still strong, and my son was about to learn that. The court date came quicker than I was ready for. I thought I had prepared myself emotionally. But nothing prepares you to sit across from your own child in a courtroom and realize you are now enemies by law. Daniel avoided my eyes when he walked in. Stephanie didn't. She stared at me like I had stolen something from her. Like I was the villain in their story. The judge was a woman about my age. Sharp glasses, calm face. I felt a strange comfort seeing someone who looked like she understood what it meant to be a mother. My lawyer stood up first. She spoke clearly, without emotion. Elder abuse, fraud, illegal sale, abuse of power of attorney, forced institutionalization. Every word felt heavy. Daniel's lawyer tried to paint a different picture. She is confused, he said. My client acted out of concern. Concern? That word again. He presented old medical records. A doctor's note from 3 years ago about memory issues after I had a minor concussion. My lawyer stood. That note was temporary. There was no diagnosis of dementia, no incompetence, and she passed all cognitive tests last week. The judge nodded. Then something happened that Daniel did not expect. Margaret walked in. My friend from the nursing home. She had insisted on testifying. The judge allowed it. Margaret's tall. I lived with her, she said. She was not confused. She knew exactly what was happening. Her son lied to get her locked away. Daniel shifted in his seat. Then another surprise. My neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, came forward. The judge asked how she knew me. I lived next door for 20 years. She said, I saw everything. She told them about the ambulance. How Daniel told the paramedics his mother wandered. How she screamed she was fine. How they ignored her. The courtroom went quiet. Mrs. Henderson's voice cracked. She begged him. He didn't look at her. Daniel's face turned red. Then Claire presented documents. Bank records, transfers, emails. Evidence showing Stephanie's brother bought my house at half price. The judge frowned. That looks like collusion, she said. Stephanie whispered to Daniel. He looked sick. Then came the hardest part. The judge asked me to speak. I stood up slowly. I raised him alone, I said. I sacrificed everything. I trusted him with my life. My voice shook, but I continued. He lied to doctors. He locked me away. He sold my home. Not because I was sick. But because he was broke, Daniel started crying, not loud, quiet. Like a child, I loved him, I said. But love doesn't mean letting someone destroy you. The judge wiped her glasses. Then she spoke. This court finds evidence of elder exploitation. Stephanie gasped. Daniel whispered, no. The judge continued, the sale of the property is void. The power of attorney is revoked. Further investigation is ordered. My knees went weak. We won. Not everything, but enough. Outside. Daniel ran after me. Mom, please. He cried, I'm sorry. I stopped. Looked at him. You weren't sorry when you did it, I said. I panicked. He whispered. I trusted you, I replied. Stephanie stood behind him. Arms crossed. Let him talk, she snapped. I turned to her. You already talked enough. She rolled her eyes. Daniel dropped to his knees. People stared. I'll do anything, he said. Anything. I wanted to hug him. But I didn't. Go fix your life, I said. Without destroying mine. I walked away. My heart shattered. That night I cried again. Not because I lost, because I finally won. And winning sometimes hurts more. After the hearing, everything moved fast. Too fast. Within days, investigators contacted me. Financial Crimes Unit. Elder Abuse Division. They wanted statements, documents, timelines. I sat in a small office with cold blue walls and told strangers the worst story of my life. Every lie Daniel told. Every transfer he made. Every doctor he manipulated. They took notes. Serious faces. No judgment. Just facts. One of them looked at me and said quietly, you're very strong. I almost laughed. Strength isn't a choice when you're drowning. It's instinct. A week later, the news hit. Daniel's business collapsed. Investors pulled out. Banks froze accounts. Lawsuits started piling up. Crypto. Fast money. Faster losses. Stephanie called me that night, screaming, you ruined us. No. I replied calmly. You ruined yourselves. She hung up. 2 days later. I heard she moved out. Left him. Took what she could. Her brother stopped answering Daniel's calls. Funny how family disappears. When money does. Daniel showed up at my door. Again, this time he looked empty. No anger. No ego. Just fear. They're investigating me, he whispered. I crossed my arms. They should. They might charge me, he said. Jail, Mom. I stared at him. You locked me away. You stole from me. What did you expect? He started crying like he did when he was little. But this time I didn't run to him. I messed up. He said. I know. Yes, I replied. You did. Silence. I never wanted to hurt you, he whispered. But you did, I said. And you kept doing it. He sank onto my porch steps. I lost everything. I looked at him. You still have your life, I said. I almost lost mine. That shut him up. After a moment he asked, do you hate me? I thought carefully. No, I said. But I don't trust you. That hurt him more than hate ever could. Court continued. More hearings. More paperwork. They charged him with fraud. Not jail yet. But, close. Stephanie refused to testify for him. She turned on him to save herself. That betrayal crushed him. Funny how karma works. One evening, Margaret came to visit. She brought pie. Still fighting? She asked. Yes, I said. She smiled. Good. We sat on my porch. To women who survived betrayal. Do you miss him? She asked. I paused. I miss who I thought he was, I said. She nodded. That's the hardest part. A month later, I received a letter from Daniel. Handwritten. Shaky. He apologized. For real this time. No excuses. No blaming. Just regret. He wrote, I destroyed the only person who ever loved me unconditionally. I cried reading that. Not because I forgave him, because he finally understood. The court ruled again. He had to repay money, probation, mandatory, counseling. No jail. But a criminal record. His future changed forever because of his choices, not mine. He asked to see me one last time. At acafeacute.public. I agreed. He looked older, smaller. I'm going to therapy, he said. Good, I replied. I'm trying to be better for yourself, I said. Not for me. He nodded. I don't expect forgiveness, he whispered. That's good, I said. Because forgiveness takes time. He swallowed. Will you ever trust me again? I shook my head slowly. Not the way before. That broke him. But it was honest. We hugged. Brief. Awkward. Not mother and son. 2 adults. Damaged. After he left, I sat alone, watching people walk by. Families. Couples. Laughing. I felt strange, like I belonged to another world. Now. One where you stop protecting people who hurt you. That night I went home. Made tea, sat by the window, and realized something powerful. I survived my own child. That doesn't make you weak, that makes you unstoppable. After everything that happened, the house finally felt quiet in a different way. Not the painful silence of loss, but the calm after a storm. I woke up one morning and realized I didn't feel scared anymore. For weeks, fear had been my shadow. Fear of losing my home. Fear of court. Fear of what my own son might do next. But that morning, I felt something new. Peace. It surprised me. I made coffee, sat by the window, and watched the neighborhood wake up. Children walking to school. A man washing his car. A woman jogging with her dog. Life didn't stop because my world fell apart. And somehow, that was comforting. I decided to do something I hadn't done in years. I drove to the beach. It was an hour away. I used to go when Daniel was little. We'd collect shells, eat cheap sandwiches, laugh when seagulls tried to steal our food. After his father left, the beach was where I pretended everything was normal. I parked and walked slowly. The sand felt cold. The wind smelled like salt and freedom. I sat down and cried. Not ugly tears, soft ones. Letting go. I'm still here. I whispered to myself. That day, I made a promise. No more living for other people. No more sacrificing my peace. No more excuses. I was 72 and I finally chose myself a week later. Something unexpected happened. Daniel called. I almost didn't answer. But I did, Mom. He said quietly. I just wanted to say, I'm still in therapy. That's good, I replied. I'm not asking for anything, he added quickly. I just wanted you to know I'm trying. I appreciated that. But I stayed guarded. Trying doesn't erase the past. I said, I know. He whispered. We hung up peacefully. No drama. That felt strange too. One afternoon, Margaret invited me to lunch. We went to a small diner. She ordered pie like always. Look at you. She smiled. You look lighter. I feel lighter, I said. She leaned closer. You know what you need. What? Fun, I laughed. At my age? Especially at your age. She replied. So we signed up for a community class, painting. I hadn't held a brush since high school. At first, my hands shook, then I relaxed. I painted the ocean. Waves. Blue. Freedom. I realized something I had spent my life building. Everyone else's dreams. Never mind. Months passed. The court case officially closed. Daniel stayed away. Stephanie moved to another state. The house was legally and emotionally mine. Again. One evening, my daughter visited. She hugged me longer than usual. I'm proud of you, she said again. I used to think mothers were supposed to forgive everything. And now? I asked. Now I think mothers are allowed to protect themselves too. That healed something inside me. Then came the phone call. Late. Unknown number. Hello? I answered. Double quotes. Mrs. Carter? A man asked. This is Detective Reynolds. My heart stopped. Yes? I'm calling about your son. I sat down. He's okay, he said quickly. But we need to inform you of something. My hands shook. What happened? There was an incident. He tried to harm himself. The room went dark. He's stable now, the detective added. In the hospital, my chest hurt. No matter what he did, he was still my child. I drove there. Not as a rescuer, not as a fixer. As a human being. He looked small in that bed, machines beeping, eyes empty. I'm sorry, he whispered when he saw me. I sat next to him. I know, I said. I ruined my life. He cried. You made choices, I replied. And now you're paying for them, he nodded. I lost everything. Sometimes you have to lose everything, I said softly, to learn what matters. He squeezed my hand. I don't deserve you, no, I said. But I'm still here. That visit wasn't forgiveness. It was closure. Weeks later, he was released. He moved to a small apartment. Worked a regular job. No business. No dreams of fast money. Just reality, sometimes. That's punishment enough. I didn't see him much, but I didn't feel hate anymore. Just sadness. And acceptance. One morning, I stood in my garden, planted new flowers. Bright ones, life colors. I realized my story wasn't about betrayal. It was about survival. About finding yourself when the people you trusted the most break you. About learning that love doesn't mean sacrifice without limits. If you're listening to this, and someone you love hurt you deeply, remember, you can love them and still walk away. You can care and still protect yourself. You are not cruel for choosing peace. I lost a son. Not physically, but emotionally. And that hurt. But I found myself, and that was worth everything. After the hospital visit, I didn't sleep much for weeks. Not because of fear, because my mind finally had space. For the first time in years, I wasn't living in survival mode. No court dates, no lawyers, no police, no screaming phone calls. Just silence. And silence can be loud when you've spent your whole life taking care of other people. I started waking up early, watching the sunrise from my porch. The same porch where I once sat crying after the police told those strangers to leave my house. That porch had seen every version of me. The young mother, the tired worker, the betrayed woman, the survivor. Now it saw something new. A woman who finally chose herself. I cleaned out the house room by room. Not angrily, gently, I donated clothes, old furniture, things that no longer felt like mine. Every object I let go of felt like shedding another layer of the past. I found old photos of Daniel, baby pictures, his first bike, his graduation. I sat on the floor and looked at them for hours, mourning a version of him that no longer existed. You never imagine outliving the version of your child you raised, but I did, and it hurt. One afternoon, Margaret came over. You look different, she said. How? I asked, calm. She smiled. Dangerous kind of calm. I laughed. Good dangerous or bad dangerous? Good, she replied. The kind that scares people who try to control you. We drank tea, talked about nonsense, TV shows, neighbors, food. It felt good to talk about normal things again. Then she asked, do you regret fighting him? I thought about it. No, I said. I regret trusting him without limits, she nodded. Boundaries, yes, I replied. Boundaries save lives. A month later, I got a letter from Daniel. Again. But this time, it was different. He wrote about his job. Stocking shelves at a warehouse. Minimum wage. Long hours, he said. I finally understand what you went through. That sentence crushed me. Not because it hurt. Because it was too late. You don't want your children to learn pain the hard way, but sometimes, it's the only way. He ended the letter with, I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I'm trying to be someone better. I didn't. Reply. Not out of anger. Out of self-respect. I learned something important. Closure doesn't always need conversation. Sometimes silence is your answer. The seasons changed. Summer turned into fall. Leaves everywhere. I planted new flowers. Bright ones. Yellow. Purple. Colors I never used before. It felt symbolic. A new chapter. I started volunteering. At a women's shelter, listening to stories that sounded too familiar. Betrayal. Abuse. Loneliness. I told them my story. Not for sympathy. For strength. Your age doesn't matter, I said. Your past doesn't trap you. You are allowed to start over. Some cried, some smiled, all listened. That healed me. One night, my phone rang. Daniel. I stared at the screen for a long time, then answered. Mom, he whispered. I just wanted to hear your voice. I closed my eyes. You heard it, I said softly. Silence. I'm moving, he said. Out of state. Fresh start, that's good, I replied. I won't bother you anymore, he added. That's healthy, I said. He sniffed. I love you. I paused. I love who you could be, I said. Not who you were. That hurt him. But it was honest. We hung up. And I knew that was goodbye. Not forever, but enough. Months later, I sat on my porch again. Same chair. Same coffee. Different woman. I thought about everything. The ambulance. The nursing home. The lies. The court. The betrayal. And something strange happened. I didn't feel anger. I felt grateful because pain taught me who I am. Strong. Independent. Unbreakable. I survived my own child, and that sounds horrible, but it also means I can survive anything. If you're listening to this right now, and someone you love betrayed you, let me tell you something. Loving someone does not mean destroying yourself for them. Being a mother does not mean accepting abuse. Being kind does not mean being weak. You can love people from a distance. You can forgive silently. And you can walk away with your head high. I didn't lose my son. I lost control over him. And that's okay, because he was never mine to own. He was mine to raise, and I did my best. Now I raise myself.